Damian Lillard back in Portland. It happened a lot sooner than most. Actually, I would say everybody thought it would. It was an obvious thing to naturally, when he gets the buyout, say, hey, Dame, Portland, reunion coming. Everybody was thinking that. I loved people that were like, I think Isaiah Thomas, the UW one.
The younger Isaiah Thomas?
God, it's weird how you have to like...
You have to classify which one.
Yeah, the UW Isaiah Thomas. The better Isaiah Thomas.
Oh. Hot take.
Well, look up the past of the other Isaiah Thomas.
Look, the past isn't great. We're talking better player, better person.
Right.
Yeah.
He tweeted out something like, my boy called it. Yeah, dude. Like, everybody and their mom was like, Dame, Portland, come back, make it happen.
Yeah.
But it happened a lot sooner. And, you know, I had somebody like, hey, what are your thoughts? And I'm like, this happened 10 minutes ago. If you're coming out with like a hard line, this, and that.
Right.
I don't feel like you're allowing yourself any room to think.
No.
Right? You're just going off vibes and emotion.
You got to let it breathe a little bit.
Which, totally, let the emotions flow, feel happy about it. It's a great day in that sense. One thing I kept coming back to in thinking about it was, the Dame reunion, it means something for the city. Obviously, the franchise, it mattered to them, and Dame wants to be back near his kids. It all makes sense. There is an element of him being signed that stuck out to me along with what they've done this offseason that I kept saying, I think that's part of it. There's more to it than one single thing outside of he's the franchise guy. Who did they buy out a couple weeks ago?
DeAndre Ayton.
Got him the hell out of here.
They did.
Now, locally, people would tell you, DA's fine. There's no problems with DA. But what was the narrative when they bought him out?
That he wasn't as all-in as he needed to be as a star.
Jason Quick wrote it, was like, he's late to planes, he's late to rehab.
Can't get down an icy driveway.
Can't be the only one to not get into a game during an ice storm.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton was DeAndre Ayton, okay? Now, good luck to the Lakers. They bought him out. They did not choose to move him. They could not find anybody to take on that last year of his contract. By trading for Drew Holiday and now signing Damian Lillard back into Portland 2 seasons after trading him, I think it is abundantly clear. I would not label that locker room broken last year, but I think this is clearly a huge directive of Chauncey, of Joe, of the franchise in saying, we need the locker room absolutely buttoned up. And I mean no disrespect by this, but even for people that went into that locker room in our gig, I don't think that is an example of you knowing what the locker room is. I think part of this, it's not the big, it's not all of it. Part of signing Damian Lillard right now versus waiting, to me, is about let's button this locker room up more. Let's get even more leadership. Let's get DA out of here. He's not really a leader. He doesn't care about anything. He's living his life. Let's get a guy that cares, is invested, and will help the younger players on this roster anytime they need it. And to me, getting Dame in this quick, part of that was locker room.
Yeah, I mean, you think to the team last year, who was the leader on the team last year?
Who
who would you say was even supposed to be that role? Because Anthony Simons was never going to be that.
No.
That just is not in his DNA.
Jeremy's a very quiet
guy.
So no.
DeAndre Ayton is
definitely
not the kind of guy that's going to lead your team. And then the other players you have, Kamara's only in his second year in Portland. Yep. Danny Avdia's in year one.
Also the new guy.
And then you have two young guards who you're trying to build around they're not quite in that role
yet. But even Tease to me is
he
like a role locker room guy.
Sure,
he
didn't play last year.
Right.
He wasn't even in the lineup for 90% of the season. And so that was a gaping hole for something that they desperately needed. And I will agree with that take 100%. I also think and I think it's fair to point this out. You can feel however you want about the signing. And despite all the tweets that have been sent to me in the last 24 hours, I'm not going to dump all over this today. I totally get the positive and the happy and overjoyed reaction to it. I also think you're kidding yourself if you don't think part of this offseason for them has been about what is the biggest goal for the ownership group in the next 12 months. And that's to sell the team. They have now added a player in the draft who looked good again last night in Summer League.
Yeah, a nice little game for himself.
Added
man.
who knows how much international interest in your organization.
China is big. Casey Holdall's famous.
Dozens and dozens and dozens of Chinese reporters following you around in Summer League who will be all over the Moda Center. People will be watching your games, talking about your team. Like, that is massive in terms of international interest. And basketball is definitely an international sport.
Yep.
And one of the other things, and this is honestly when you tease it in the last segment where I thought you were going to go, since he left, now it's only been 2 years, so it's not that big of a sample size, but since he left, you have had nothing that has come close to a face of the franchise player.
No.
You have had nothing that comes close to a guy who's going to put butts in the seats that people want to go buy a ticket to watch. Like, you're going to have your diehard Blazer fans who are there night in and night out who will ride with you no matter what you're doing and what moves you're making. But what you have desperately been missing is that piece that you can build around. And Dame, I don't think at this point in his career is that anymore. But the part of that role that he can still fill is the guy that will put butts in the seats, because the attendance will be through the roof this year.
Yep.
And then you fast forward 15 months from now when he's actually back in the lineup and playing, and that arena will be packed night in and night out. And so I think that's another part of this that is absolutely, if you're giving Jody credit, brilliant on her part, that all of a sudden the interest in the organization, ticket sales, TV ratings, international interest, all of that is up significantly from where it was at the end of the year. We joked how many times last season, we did this with the Kamara all defensive stuff.
Yeah.
People aren't watching the Blazers. So if you didn't put him on your first team all defense, like, unless you're an in-the-know NBA rider, you were an out-of-sight, out-of-mind organization in the league. That is not necessarily the case anymore.
Well, there's certainly the talk of the league right now.
Certainly a talking point.
I've heard some thoughts and opinions already from people outside of our market, and it's a bit of this is a great day for the fan base. Also, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, look, there's a lot to get into with this, but I do think there are two sides to the coin.
For sure there are.
The heads part of the coin is obvious. It is emotional. It means a great deal. I don't even know how many examples that you guys have thought of. I couldn't come up with a lot of this situation happening in sports in general. The guy who was clearly the franchise player had done everything asked of him, had been given no real substantial help.
No.
He got a combo guard. That was the best they ever did for him.
They refused to trade.
Outside of LaMarcus, that era.
And that was, what, 2 years with LaMarcus?
And that was a few years with LaMarcus, and then he was gone, and it was like after that, it was like, hey, here's some real fringe role guys and a combo guard. Good luck.
Carmelo Anthony and Robert Covington.
And the dude planted roots here. His whole family is here. His brother's coaching high school. His family has businesses here. He's built his entire mansion empire here. He wants to be here. Well, the franchise doesn't follow suit. He leaves. And he's only gone 2 seasons, and albeit an injury led to it, but he comes back 2 seasons later. I couldn't come up with another example close to this, because usually those guys, they sign the one-day contract and retire.
Yeah.
They don't come back this quickly. Now, again, the injury does matter here, but I couldn't come up with a lot of examples of this situation happening.
Not a lot of them.
But all I kept coming back to yesterday, after putting the emotions of all of it aside, is you don't get Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard. You don't do that unless you care about the locker room. And so I don't know what reporting is going to come out through this. I'm imagining a great Jason Quick piece is going to be written. But to me, it stood out maybe amongst all the other stuff. They really need that leadership right now, and they really value it to the point of saying, our full mid-level, sure.
Give it to him. He's not going to play this year, but that's okay, because what he will provide in the locker room is bigger than what somebody could provide on the floor.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they're saying.
Him being in that locker room mattered so much to them this season, and it is an obvious pivotal season for our 2 young players.
This is it.
Which we need to talk about that part of it,
Yep.
that they just said, yep, worth it. It's a slam dunk for the fans. It makes us look incredibly bright to everybody of like, look, we care. We love it.
Yeah, it makes them look savvy, too, because they got a lot of the pieces that they got in the Damian Lillard trade, and now they added him back to it.
I mean, they got Drew and Dame back.
2 guys.
The whole trade. Dame's traded. Here comes Drew. Now Drew's traded. And 2 seasons later, we got them both. And we got the other stuff.
We got all the other
which
stuff,
we can go
too.
through that today, because you got to give it to Cronin at least on that of, hey, look at that. That was good maneuvering.
For sure.
And it worked out for them with the injury, unfortunately. But, yeah, yesterday I'm like, This is a big locker room move, man. And they can say the locker room wasn't awful, and that's fine. I'm not saying it was. I have no reporting on that. But what I will say is you don't get Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard unless you care a great deal about your locker room being buttoned up, professional, and having the right leadership and voices in it. And I think it's clear as day that was a big priority for them.
And that was Dame for a decade. That's who he was. That's what he meant to this organization. And they have not been able to replace that since he left. And now he's back.